The national politics is bound to remain agitated for the next few days over the citizenship bill debate, with the ruling coalition in a mindset to send the bill to the president in its current form, while the main opposition seeking necessary changes. The ceremonial status of the president once again finds itself in conflict against the executive. Good morning, I'm Abheudaya Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Parliament prepares to send back the citizenship bill to the president unchanged despite the latter's request for further considerations. CPN-UML lawmakers demand amendments. 84 political parties registered for November 20 provincial and parliamentary elections. Baburam and Bamdev to contest under Maoist Centre's election symbol. Share of seats remains an issue for coalition. A week after an apparent Ukrainian attack on a Russian military base in occupied Crimea, an arms store at another military facility hit by a series of explosions, Ukraine denies involvement. And Spanish Pablo Busta crashes out of the first round of the Cincinnati Open tennis tournament as Serbian Miomir Kekmanovic advances. Italian Yannick Sinner also advances to the next round. The five parties of the ruling coalition have decided to send the bill related to citizenship back to President Bidyadevi Bhandari without any amendments from both the houses after it was returned by the president. CPN-UML parliamentarians in the meantime have demanded reforms in the bill. The meeting of the ruling coalition held at the official residence of the Prime Minister in Balwatar yesterday decided to send the bill to the president without any amendments. Earlier on Sunday, President Bhandari had returned the bill with a 15-point recommendation for revisions. The concerns raised by the president, along with a message, was read out at yesterday's session of the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, main opposition CPN-UML has welcomed the president's decision and has demanded taking the bill forward with amendments. Prior to this, the bill was sent to the president for certification after endorsement from both the houses of the parliament. 84 political parties have registered themselves at the Election Commission for the November 20 provincial and parliamentary elections. The number is higher than the number of parties that had contested in the local level elections held in May. The Election Commission had given 10 days time for the parties to register themselves, with the deadline ending yesterday. Three parties, including CPN Maoist Centre and Nepal Samajwadi Party, have registered as a single party. Several other fringe parties have also registered as one for the upcoming polls. Former CPN-UML leader Bamdev Gautam, who had left the party to initiate a unification campaign, had registered a different party for the election, however, has decided to collaborate with CPN Maoist Centre and is contesting under the Maoist symbol. There are 116 political parties registered at the Election Commission at the moment. 79 parties had registered their candidacy at the May elections, with only 69 receiving approval from the Election Commission. The Commission has said it will evaluate the eligibility of the parties and publish the final list of contesting parties in the National Gazette on 24th of August. 91 parties had contested in the 2017 elections. However, as the Election Commission has implemented a vote threshold of 3% for parties to attain national status, experts say many smaller parties have been discouraged to register for the November 20 elections. Following the decision of the ruling coalition to sustain the alliance for the provincial and parliamentary elections, a task force is currently formulating criteria for the share of seats. The ruling coalition is struggling to find a common ground on the ideal share of 165 seats under the direct category. In such a situation, discussions are underway for addition of more parties in the ruling alliance. Leaders Baburam Bhattrai and Bamdev Gautam have already decided to contest the elections under the symbol of CPN Maoist Centre. With Loktantrik Samajwadi Party also preparing to join the coalition, the share of seats is likely to witness further complications. The task force formed to reach a consensus on the seats division has so far neared consensus on 84 constituencies. The unit has agreed on presenting candidates on the basis of victories in the previous election. With the modality for other seats yet to be formulated, the task force has made preparations to submit its report for allocation of seats on the basis of votes received by parties in the local elections, the strength and influence of the parties, and assurance of victories. All 5 parties have presented their proposals with claim for seats at the task force and are in favor of ensuring victories in all constituencies. While Nepali Congress is making efforts to secure majority with direct and proportionate votes, other coalition parties are formulating strategies to play decisive roles. At this moment, Baburam Bhattrai, who has recently formed Nepal Samajwadi Party, and Bamdev Gautam, who has initiated his own political entity, have decided to contest in the upcoming elections using the election symbol of CPN Maoist Center. This latest move is likely to intensify complications for allocation of seats in the alliance. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the general public about the reasons for the lack of collaboration among the 3 tiers of the government. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
स्थानीय सरकारको मेयर आफै ठुलो, प्रदेश सरकारको प्रदेश मन्त्री मुख्यमन्त्री आफै ठुलो, अनि केन्द्रीय सरकारको प्रधानमन्त्री ठुलो हुने भइगयो। यो सबै कुराले गर्दाखेरि
सबैले चाहिँ आफ्नो तरिकाले काम गर्न खोज्छन्, सबैको एजेन्डा चाहिँ एउटै छैन।
मलाई भन्ने कुराले चाहिँ
नेताहरुमा भ्रष्टाचारकै लिप्त बढी कारणले गर्दा
केन्द्रले प्रदेशको अस्तित्व नस्वीकार्ने, प्रदेशले स्थानीय स्तरको अस्तित्व नस्वीकारेको कारण
पार्टीगत स्वार्थ,
एकले अर्काको खुट्टा कसरी तान्ने हैन त्यो प्रवृत्ति छ।
सर्वै सरकारहरूले आफूलाई सर्वेसर्वा ठान्ने
उपयुक्त कार्यविधि नै बन्न सकेन, जसले चाहिँ यो तीनटै तहलाई समन्वय गरेर काम गर्नलाई
उले मैले भाग पाइन भन्छ अनि त्यही कारणले नेताहरू यदि मिल्न सकेका छैन।
तीनटै तहका जनप्रतिनिधिहरूको आफ्नै अडानका कारण
आफ्नै भागवण्डामा चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ अल्झेको देखिन्छ।
संघीय सरकारले प्रदेश सरकारलाई तथा स्थानीय सरकारलाई चाहिँ अधिकार दिन नखोजिरहेको जस्तो पनि देखिन्छ।
यिनीहरूलाई देशको माया पनि छैन, जनताको माया पनि छैन।
नीतिगत रूपमा केही चाहिँ अस्पष्टता पनि एक हो।
Major political parties and their senior leaders have always failed to live up to their tall claims on democracy and issues of public interest. The politicians, who have always been driven by their lust in holding power and leadership roles, have, however, failed to prioritize democratic practices in their own parties. Distribution of tickets for elections also seem to depend on the interests of the leadership of the parties. Leadership growing larger than the party's principles and structures has led to the rise of rebel candidates, factionalism, and split of the parties. The largest party of the ruling coalition, Nepali Congress, claims to be the torchbearer of democracy in the country. However, ignoring the regulations, the party itself is run single-handedly by the decisions of the party president and Prime Minister Sherbahadur Deuba. Appointments in the sister organizations are made on the basis of the preferences of the party leadership. Nepali Congress is now revolving around the interests and preferences of the president. With the provincial and parliamentary elections drawing close, those close to the high-ranking officials of the party are expecting tickets for the polls. The largest party of the House of Representatives, opposition CPN-UML, is plagued with a similar plight. The party operates around Chairperson KP Sharma Oli. Chances are meager for anyone to receive a ticket for the upcoming elections without Oli's approval, and he has shouldered the responsibility of the committees formed for deploying resources for the election and forming a draft of the manifesto. While Oli continues to flex his strength and presence in the party, other leaders quietly follow his directives without raising any concern. Elsewhere, CPN Maoist Center has always been ruled by its chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal. Despite concluding its general convention way back, the party is yet to decide on its officials. Dahal solely makes major decisions for operation of the party. The power of Upendra Yadav in Janata Samajwadi Party and Mahanta Thakur in Loktantrik Samajwadi Party resemble matching similarities in the Tarai-centered parties. Situation is similar in most of the 116 parties registered at the Election Commission and 6 parties recognized with the national status. Most of these parties seem to have ignored their principles, statutes, and regulations and operated around a one-man show of the party chief. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. Why have political parties failed to ensure democratic practices within themselves? Your options are A, self-serving nature, B, helpless young generation, and C, absence of democratic culture. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. It's time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
Coaches make equal contributions for the success of athletes in sports. They provide their inputs for technical and physical capacity enhancement of the athletes, and this process requires adequate time and resources. However, with the Nepali sports sector plagued with political interventions, short-term appointment of coaches has denied adequate development opportunities for the athletes. Capable talents were identified and produced during the almost a decade-long term of Roy Dias since 2001 as the head coach of Nepal's national cricket team. Most of the players of the Nepali team, which competed at the 2014 World Cup, were trained by Dias. However, with regular changes of coaches after Dias, Nepal have failed to secure their spot at the World Cup. With 2 terms of Pubudu Dasanaike were not as successful, and proven coach Dave Watmore did not complete his tenure, Nepali cricket has witnessed 4 foreign coaches in the past 5 years, but failed to achieve the expected progress. Elsewhere, Nepali football has also not been able to rise above the South Asian level, despite appointing 17 foreign and other national coaches. 5 coaches were appointed in the past 5 years by the national football governing body, All Nepal Football Association. The main reason for the lack of achievements of the coaches has been identified as inadequate time and resources. Of more than 180 sports associations recognized by the National Sports Council, volleyball, table tennis, boxing, and badminton, among other associations, have been appointing foreign coaches for a certain period. However, these coaches are not recruited for a long period of time. Many other sports associations cannot even afford foreign coaches. Many capable and skilled Nepali coaches are not provided their deserved opportunities because of politicization in sports. These persisting issues have hindered the growth of Nepali athletes and the sports sector. Lalitpur High has stormed into the finals of the first Nakipot Open National Basketball Championship. With the second consecutive win, the Lalitpur High has made a spot in the final with 1 league match still remaining. In the match held at the covered hall of the Nakipur Youth Club, the Lalitpur High girls crushed ISA Nepal 50-26. Prior to this, the enterprising Lalitpur girls had tamed Kantipur. Lalitpur High will now take on organizers Nakipur Youth Club in the finals. Nakipur has also defeated ISA and Kantipur to qualify for the finals. 4 teams are contesting the women's category. Likewise, in the men's category, Royals defeated Kantipur 77-63. Nikesh Magar scored the maximum 26 points in a seesaw match. There are 12 teams contesting in the men's category. Both the men's and women's final are scheduled for this Saturday. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.